Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and someone just asked a question on my channel as to why I'm selling off my collection. And so I wanted to respond by saying I am not selling off my entire collection. In fact, a lot of what I'm going to be selling off over these next couple of weeks are doubles and basically collector edition games that I just don't have the room for. A lot of the collector edition games that came out for the Switch are very big. Like I have some collector edition boxes that would take up like this much of a row. You know what I mean? The boxes are just so big. So in just me wanting to downsize and kind of streamline things a little bit, it just makes more sense for me at this point to downsize with the bigger items in my collection. So I'm definitely getting rid of a lot of the big box collector's editions. There are a few collector's editions that I will keep, but for the most part, I'm kind of parting ways with my collector's editions. As I said before, the other things that I'm getting rid of are the doubles. I do have some doubles. I have duplicate systems. I have duplicate games that I didn't even realize I had. Just as I'm sorting through my collection, I'm realizing like, oh shoot, I have two of this game or two of this console, and I don't really need that. So that's the other reason why I'm kind of getting rid of some of the stuff that's in my collection. The other reason, which I think is the more important reason, is I really like having a tailored collection. Like I like having a collection that's really tailored to my specific likes when it comes to my collection. I'm not really focused on the quantity, although as you can see, I do have a good amount of games. I'm really more so, I always do this around this time of year. I just do take inventory of what's in my collection, and I just see what I can do, like how I can trade in some games, some of the games that I've picked up to get maybe other games that I would enjoy or would fit better into my collection, or perhaps take all of those games and trade them in for maybe one or two grails. Like I have no problems trading in, 10 limited edition games or 20 limited edition games for one really rare Super Nintendo game or Sega Genesis game, as long as the values are comparable. So there are going to be a few opportunities for me to make those types of trades coming up here in the next few months. And so I'm just kind of putting together like a schedule for myself for where I'll be going and where I might be able to make some of these trades happen. But for the most part, I'm really pleased with what's being kept in my collection so far at this point. For me, it's really more so about the types of games that I enjoy. I mean, the games, even if you just look at this sample size of the 360 collection, I mean, the games range in price, in rarity, but they all kind of fit what I like. There are a few games that are a little bit out of my comfort zone, like Resonance of Fate. It's a little bit of a different RPG that I'm willing to give a try. A couple of other, games here, some things that you'll see on the PS3. I was never really a huge horror guy, but Halloween is coming up, and I've been getting into some of the horror games, which the PlayStation 3 has a ton of those, between Silent Hill, the Saw games, Splatterhouse, Yakuza Dead Souls. So a lot of, Halloween style type of things going on here. And, the focus just shifts. And I think, like I said, it always presents a good opportunity for me just as a collector to streamline. So I'm not selling everything, but I am going to be streamlining the collection. So I'm hoping that by the end of this year, I'll be able to have added some really cool grails to the collection. There's always someone looking to get out of a particular market and go into a particular market. There may be someone who's looking to get rid of all of their Super Nintendo games, and so but maybe they're starting to collect for the Switch. You might have someone who's giving up all their Switch and looking for Super Nintendo. So it all just depends on, where everyone's at and what everyone's trying to do, and just seeing how you can maximize. One of the things that I'm not doing though is I'm definitely not really hunting like that pretty much at all. Like I've stopped going into the GameStops. I haven't bought anything from GameStop in a few weeks actually. So GameStop has not been the spot for me. I definitely haven't been going there. I hit up one of my thrift stores the other day looking for an audio cable and walked out with some more trade bait. Not really much of anything that I was adding to the collection too crazy. Had a couple pieces, I had a couple games that I decided that I would add. NES game, and what else? It was an NES game, and I think another game that I'm using for a case swap. So I guess I really didn't, I only added one game. This other game that's here is actually going to be used for a case swap. So I'll be swapping, just looking for which PS2 game needs a new case. And I know I've got a couple up there that could use a good case swap. So that's how I'll be utilizing this. And then inside this, for those of you who might have missed one of the last videos, this is actually doesn't have the Dynasty Warriors 4 in it. It actually has Final Fantasy 1. That's the only disc that's in here. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. Maybe a giveaway, maybe a trade away. We'll have to see. But yeah, so that's really the plan, right? It's not a major cash out. It's not a major sell off of my collection. If I were to completely sell off my entire collection, it would probably be for something really significant, like like a down payment on another house, or something really significant. Like I wouldn't just sell all my games and just sit on the cash. I do have a significant amount of games that I think I could get a considerable amount of cash from my collection, but I'm not really interested in doing something like that unless either I have to or I see a better opportunity. And even then, I wouldn't get rid of my entire collection. I'd probably get rid of a good chunk of my collection, but I'd still wind up keeping a lot of the games that were harder to get. Like there are some games that were just really difficult to get my hands on, and I don't think I want to have to go through trying to find them again. Just to name a few: Burning Rangers, I do not want to have to look for this game again, ever again. Lords of Thunder, Android Assault, those will probably never leave. Guardian Heroes will probably forever stay in the collection. Last Resort, definitely not. I'm never really going to sell any of my import Saturn games just because those, again, these were tough to find and get, and this is my a very important part of my collection, so I probably would never want to have to try and find that again. And then of course some of the other games like God Hand, I never want to have to pay for this again. Never want to have to pay for just a bunch of these games. Blood Will Tell, that will always stay in the collection. So some of the more rarer games, rarer items will for sure stay in the collection. But then there are a lot of games that have just become a lot more easier to find. To be honest, I remember when Wario World was somewhat rare. This game is on GameStop's website all day for like $60. So that's an easy pickup right there. Probably Fire Emblem Path of Radiance is probably the most rare 360 game in the collection. I don't know how many times I'll run into this complete in box in really good condition. So that one, just the ones that are really hard to, get your hands on will probably be the ones that stay. But a lot of the more higher tier to mid games will probably go if I ever had to sell. And I'd probably wind up keeping a lot of my PlayStation 1 collection because, as you can see, it's pretty small. Like, this is my entire PlayStation 1 collection, but there is not a single dud on this row, because it used to be, like, when you look at this shelf, and those of you who've been following the channel for a long time, just so you know, this is the shelf that I used to, film. Like, this used to be the backdrop of some of my earlier videos. And back then, this row and the 2 rows were made up of PlayStation 1 games. That's how deep my PlayStation 1 collection was. And I just sold off a ton of those games. A ton, so many of those games. And I just wound up keeping, the only games that I kept were the ones that I felt were the cream of the crop. And that's just kind of what I do. That's what it's been for me. So that's why I'm selling. To that person who asked, no, I am not selling my entire collection. I'm just selling the limited edition, collector's editions, big box games, and doubles. And then any other sales beyond that, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. and take it one day at a time. But that does it for me. That's just my response to that question. Let me know what you've been able to find. Let me know if you're selling anything out of your collection or if you're still in pure collecting mode. And if you are collecting, where are you buying your games? Because it seems like they're really hard to find these days. Let me know down in the comments. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.